Hey, what's up, man? Fair use, fair use, fair use. YouTube, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me today. It's going to be a good stream. I didn't watch this whole thing, so I want to see what's going on. Smokey Robinson's one of his guys, man, did a bombshell interview, and we about to go check it out. Let's see what's up. Well, I light my stove. This is to refresh on what's going on right here.
Smokey Robinson now being criminally investigated by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department for allegations of sexual assault. This coming 1 week after Robinson was sued by 4 former housekeepers who allege she repeatedly abused them for years. NBC's Dana Griffin joins us tonight from LA with the latest. Dana, this just took a very, very big turn for Smokey Robinson and his wife. What do we know about this investigation?
Absolutely. Very, very disturbing as well, Tom. So these disturbing allegations were first brought to light last week when those 4 former housekeepers filed a lawsuit alleging that for years, Smokey Robinson either raped or sexually assaulted them while in his home here in Los Angeles County. All of them claimed that he would either call them to his bedroom or in an area of the home where cameras were not present, usually when the wife was not home. And they talk about how that's how he would force himself upon them. Now, one employee says that Robinson sexually assaulted her 23 times over a 6-year period. Another says that she was assaulted 20 times during the 12 years that she worked for the Motown legend. Now, according to the suit, 3 of the women did not report this to police, citing fears that this could impact their immigration status. The lawsuit also accuses the 85-year-old's wife, Frances Robinson, of, quote, perpetuating a hostile work environment. They go on to say by not taking the action to stop these, quote, deviant misconduct. Now, the women say they were all forced to resign. They are now seeking $50 million in damages. We reached out to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. They tell us that the investigation is in its early stages and they have no further comment.
Have we heard from Smokey Robinson, his wife, about these new criminal allegations, or the criminal investigation, we should say?
Absolutely. We have through their attorney. So this attorney goes on to say that he feels confident Mr. Robinson did nothing wrong. And in a statement, he goes on to say that we are aware that a police report has now been filed by the plaintiffs in the civil lawsuit. It is clear to us what is happening here. Plaintiffs filed a police report only after they filed a $50 million lawsuit. This means only that the police are now required to investigate. We welcome that investigation. So essentially in the statement, the lawyer is saying this is just a money grab. And because the allegations were made, the police department has to investigate. So obviously we'll see what happens over the next weeks and months if charges are formally brought or if not. So obviously a very disturbing case that's alleged. And obviously everyone wants to know what happened.
Right.
Tom?
All right, Janet Griffin, we thank you for that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
All right, so we got a history now on what is going on. And I just have to tell you that the first 15 minutes of this interview that I did watch, I gotta tell you, this gentleman, I am proud of this gentleman. Mr. Robinson has a really good friend. And let's just get to it. His name is Leon Isaac Kennedy. So let's go and check this out. And let me go and pull this up. And this is just, it had to be done. I like the way he did it. We've seen Bill Cosby go through this and a lot of men who weren't guilty, bro, go through this. They, like I always told you, they got a book called Damn, DAM, Destroy a Man Now. They've got lots of books. The Power of the Pussy, 1 and 2, and Cats Don't Chase Dogs. They got all these books. All right. So they're up on game and they are just taking down every guy they could get. It's going to get to the point men are not going to want to hire women because you are a liability. You are a liability. If something doesn't go your way, you have to worry about allegations. I always say, like if you put a powerful man in the room and a Walmart cashier, female in the room, the powerful one is that Walmart cashier. All right, so let's go and see what the guy has to say. This should be good, man. Come on with it.
So now, let's get into these allegations. I'll start by saying with this Me Too culture, it's not just in Hollywood, but it's in all work environments and in society in general.
Yep.
Certainly men have taken advantage of women. In my own life, I know when men have tried to cross the line with Jane or with Maureen, when all they were trying to do was work as actresses. And I've had to straighten out several men that got out of line. However, we must also state that many women have been opportunists and have certainly used their looks and sexuality to get whatever they desired out of a life or career. So with this Me Too movement, I will say that certainly there are corrections or adjustments that need to be made, that need to be adhered to for justice. But usually when it comes to corrections, at the beginning of a corrective paradigm, the pendulum is always pushed too far in the opposite direction. And so it is with this Me Too movement. Now, too many men are found to be guilty upon accusation. Case in point, there are several men that I know wherein they were manipulatively and falsely accused of wrongful actions by women. These women simply stated, I want 100,000 or 300,000 or more, and if I don't get it, I'm going to say ba 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 ba. And these men have gone to their attorneys, and after one adds it all up of how much the attorneys will cost to litigate and defend against these accusations, much less factor in all the turmoil, loss of reputation, loss of business, loss of career, or if you're in business, loss of corporate positions, in the time that it takes the 2 to 3 years to get to trial to finally be found innocent. In the interim, all the damage has already been done. So the man and the attorney make strictly a business decision that it's cheaper and less destructive just to pay them off, even though their accusations are completely unfounded. And for those of you that are watching, believe me, this happens every week in this society that we now live in. It's strictly a cost of doing business. However, in this case, with these absurd amounts and accusations, and I'm going to start showing some of these accusations. Roll the tape.
The principal causes of action against Mr. Robinson, in particular, are sexual battery, assault, false imprisonment, gender violence, and creating a hostile work environment. Obviously, these ladies are identified in the lawsuit as Does, Jane Does 1 through 4. To protect their privacy, our clients, these 4 courageous women, want and demand justice for themselves. We're seeking damages of $50 million.
These attorneys stated that for what these women went through, they deserve justice. But what the attorneys did was an extortionist shakedown. Because you attorneys, you didn't go to the police first. No. You went to Smokey asking for $100 million. You were told no. Then you dropped it to $50 million. Then you dropped it to $20 million. And then you dropped it to $10 million. And then when you were still told no, then you went to the public. So now from 10 or 20, it's back up to $50 million. And to you attorneys, I must say, how much are you getting? Usually when attorneys take a case on a contingency, Sometimes they get 18%, 20%, 25%. The good ones get 33 and a third percent. I understand you're getting 50%. 50%. So let me ask, as I do a calculation on this, there's 4 Jane Does. Allegedly, they were.
So this is where I cut it off and said, let me go and watch the rest of it with these guys. As I just pause it, I just want to say, you know, hold on. This is just straight bullshit. And you know, I'm glad that he is saying something. I really feel, you know, when they make allegations of sexual battery and assault, and Smokey Robinson he's like 89 years old, bro. You got these young little Spanish girls, and they say, oh, they were afraid of their immigrant status or some shit like that. So how the hell you just like you're gonna be kicked out anyway, bitch? You ain't supposed to be here, right? So you think you're gonna go back to wherever the hell you from with $50 million or 100 million or whatever the fuck you asked for? You think you're gonna go back to your country with American millions? And you guys are just, you know, running this. You know, when you don't give a woman something, they probably see he old and all that shit. Maybe he stopped giving gifts for Christmas. You know, he seemed like the type that Christmas time is coming, he gonna break y'all off with a maybe 20 grand or 10 grand or some shit like that, bonus or something. Like, y'all been seeing everybody from the Me Too movement, and you figure like you could rob him too. That's what I think you're doing. Well, I hope they bust your ass and put you and deport your ass to fucking wherever the hell you from, man.
Raped repeatedly. The 4 of them can split up $25 million. There are 2 attorneys, and you get the same amount that the 4 women who were repeatedly raped would receive, and you weren't repeatedly raped. But you're demanding 50%. This is a shakedown of greed in the highest proportions, and there's got to be consequences. There's got to be consequences against you, the attorneys, and there's got to be consequences against these 4 Jane Does. Do all of you think that you can ruin a person's life? You can ruin a legacy and a reputation forever? And the way the system is set up now, you've got nothing to lose and a hell of a lot to gain. What I tell you, there are going to be consequences. And by the way, I don't know them as Jane Does 1 through 4. I know them as Sandy and Maria and Blanca and Brenda. I'm not going to say last names because I don't want to be accused of putting them in danger. It's amazing to me that in this day and age, individuals can bring serious charges against another individual. And in some instances, not in this one, but in other instances, the accused doesn't even know who the accuser is. They're just a Jane Doe. And in this case, the so-called Jane Does are hiding behind masks and sunglasses and wigs. Why are you hiding? The attorneys have stated to protect their privacy. That's why they're hiding. I'm wondering, is it to protect them from the ridicule of being looked at as atrocious liars that they so clearly appear to be? Roll the tape right here.
Let's talk about Jane Doe number 1. She worked for the Robinsons for a little over a year, from January 2023 to February 24. Mr. Robinson first sexually assaulted and raped her in March of 23, as detailed in the complaint. What he would do was summons her to his blue bedroom, which you'll probably be hearing about later on. After having just showered, he would come out of the adjoining bathroom naked and proceed to force her to have sex with him against her will. He sexually assaulted and raped her in this manner 7 times.
So, Jane Doe was raped in this blue bedroom 7 times. Let me state that these women were not in the house singularly working. There were usually 2 or 3 working simultaneously.
Obviously, the women all worked together. Some of their shifts did overlap.
So there was always an overlap. So now, if you were raped in this blue bedroom 1 time, why would you go upstairs and stay upstairs and be alone with this man again if you think this is going to happen again? Wouldn't you go downstairs and stay away from him? Or
You know, I'm really fucking tired of these bitches acting like they so scared, bro. They'll call the cops on you in a fucking hot minute. All of a sudden, they're being raped and smacked with guns and all that shit, like in the Zion Williamson, the basketball player, and those allegations. They're getting all of this fucking horrific treatment, and they're afraid, right? Cassie was afraid. You know, she been with this motherfucker 12, 13 years, you know, and then we found out that she asked the guy to piss in her mouth. So, I mean, like these judges, you know, yeah, we could blame these damn thirsty ass thoughts. We definitely could blame them. But we also got to blame you punk ass judges and you fucking jurors. You know what I mean? Men have been so kind to women and extended their fucking kindness and their hearts and their everything to these bitches. Gave you the right to vote, gave you the right to do every damn thing. We could just be some real cruel motherfuckers and treat you like we're in fucking Somalia or Afghanistan or one of them fucking countries, man. We like what the fuck can you do? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the fact that the pendulum swung all the way to one side and men's rights are being taken away, you bitches tried to get rid of masculinity, calling it toxic masculinity. You know, you trying to feminize little boys and all kind of shit, man. You know, we need to put the boot back on you bitches' necks. Yeah. We need to put the boot back on you bitches' necks because you're out of fucking control. You're out of control. You're erratic. You make stupid fucking decisions because of your emotions. You know, you raise horrible fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? And you fucking persuade soft ass men with your fucking box. You soft ass motherfuckers, man. You telling me this damn near 90-year-old man is force fucking 4 Altagracias, and they've been there for fucking decades. You've been there. You let a 90-year-old dude do this to you 23 times? You're not a fucking 8-year-old kid. You're a grown ass woman, right? Yeah, you're a grown ass woman. And you want to blame his wife. Oh yeah, she knew what was going on. What did they fucking say about his wife? Hold on. What did they say about his wife, man? Let me add this fucking photo. Just irritated from the lying ass bitches, man. You lying, bro. That's crazy. So, according to People magazine, it said most recently Smokey made headlines on they said creating hostile work environment by 4 women who work for him. And then they said Francis, who was also named in the lawsuit, as one of the plaintiffs, claimed that Francis allegedly had full knowledge of his prior acts of sexual misconduct and failed to take appropriate corrective action to prevent his devious misconduct. What appropriate action? What appropriate action could she have done? She's a woman too, right? Why you going at her? The majority of the time, all these bitches stick together. And all of a sudden, they coming at her. That's odd. That's real odd. And I don't fucking trust her.
Say to one of the other maids, I need you to fix his lunch, or I need you to come up with me while I fix his lunch. Would you allow yourself to be in the same circumstance over and over and go through this same horrific deal 7 times?
If I liked it, yep.
Would you not scream? Would you not holler? Would other people not hear you? Would you not allow yourself to be alone with him again and again and again, to be raped 7 times? To those that are listening to me, I say some things are just common.
I just can't see this 90-year-old nigga holding down some fucking 20 something or however old she is chick, bro. I don't see it. These bitches aren't slackers. They're cleaning the house, right? So they got some fucking little bit of strength going on there. Their muscles aren't just sitting back. They're not no old bitches walking around. You can't fight off a 90-year-old man?
And sense. And so much of these stories play out as absurd. Roll the tape again.
Jane Doe number 2. She worked for the Robinsons from May 2014 to February 2020. Smokey Robinson's modus operandi was somewhat different with her. He would ask her to meet him in areas in the home where there were no cameras. There were 2 such places or areas in their Chatsworth home: the garage and the laundry room. When she would meet him at this location, he would immediately begin to sexually assault and rape her, causing her excruciating pain. He sexually assaulted and raped her.
Bro. How old is Smokey Robinson, bro? I keep saying 89, 90 because that's what I thought I saw. Let me be. He's 85 years old, man. He's 85. He was born in 1940. He was born in 1940, man.
In this manner 23 times.
So here we have Jane Doe 2. She says she was raped 23 times. That he took her to the garage and he took her to the laundry room where there were no cameras. So now let's put some common sense on this. Raped 23 times? You know an exact number. What did you do? Did you keep a diary? And if you had a diary of these horrific actions, could you just keep this to yourself for that long a period of time? Could you keep it to yourself for weeks, for months? No, you're saying you kept it to yourself for years. Or was she like a zombie going to that same exact area 23 times over and over again when people were still in the house? Wouldn't you avoid that area? Would you not just tell one of the other maids to go into that area and do whatever you were supposed to be needed for to do in that area? Or once again, you could have easily brought in another person to go in there with you. Or just simply say, no, I'm not going into that area ever again. And so I say, once again,
You know what they got to do? They got to implement a law, bro. Who said this? Was it Corey Holcomb? No, it wasn't Corey Holcomb. One gentleman said there needs to be a rule where if you're, as soon as this shit happens, you need to report it ASAP. If you can't come back, I think it was Eddie Griffin. I think you can't come back say, yo, listen, man, fucking 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years ago, this guy finger banged me in the fucking cafeteria. You can't do that shit, bro. All this shit, how do they have us by the balls like this, bro? And you cocksucking judges are just letting this shit go down. That's who's really letting it go down. A bitch that get caught lying about rape. Get caught lying in court. And you cocksuckers will let the bitch just walk. Y'all need to get fucked up. That's you need to get fucked up, man. Somebody needs to catch you on your way to your car and beat you in the head with a fucking pipe. Not take you out. Because you need to know why you got beat in the head with a fucking pipe. So you could tell others, yeah, they beat me in the head with a pipe because X, Y, Z. What you're doing is wrong and it's fucked up. I could say this shit. I don't work for anybody. I don't have no social media guidelines, policies like them bitches that be twerking and shit on the airplane and in the fucking nurse's office or whatever. I could say the shit that you want to say. Yeah, they need to get fucked up. And then these fucking bros need whatever sentence you gonna give that motherfucker, give it to her. These bitches gotta stop some kind of way, man.
these stories just do not add up.
And he's like the only one with the fucking cojones to come on here and talk about the case that's currently going on. This is a fucking G right here. In the beginning, he said he ain't even tell Smokey, he ain't tell none of the lawyers because he knew they would have told him, yo, don't go speaking about this because the case is going on. And no. He said, yo, fuck you. I'm gonna go and do this. And he's doing it for Smokey, but it's gonna benefit. Damn, let me turn myself down. I know I'm blowing y'all eardrums out. He's doing it for Smokey, but it's for the benefit of all men, bro. It's for the benefit of all men. How many bitches and how many people been caught lying? Even in the fucking Diddy case. How many broads been caught lying? There's that Thalia Graves. She said, oh yeah, Diddy picked me up and I went to his office. They raped me there. And like her story was stupid. Her ex-boyfriend told on her, said, yeah, this bitch said she was going to give me $3 million if I went along with her story. These bitches are lying. Ain't nothing happens to them. Nothing.
And they do not hold up. Roll the tape again.
Jane Doe number 3. She worked for the Robinsons as a housekeeper from February 2012 to April 2024. Her story is quite similar to the others. Mr. Robinson would call her into his blue bedroom where he would sexually assault and rape her. This occurred approximately 20 times.
So now here we have Jane Doe 3. She was raped 20 times. She was raped in the blue bedroom. And once again, I'm stating, are we supposed to believe that these women were like zombies going into the same area to repeat the same act over and over and over?
20 times, 23 times, 7 times. So he's fucking all these broads. So for 89, this dude has got the sex drive. 85. So for 85, you go back 10 years, 75, he's got the sex drive of like a fucking 25-year-old, huh? That's what you telling us? That's what you telling us. That for the past 10, 15 years, he's had the sex drive of a 20-something-year-old. Come on, man. Come on, man.
It's just too far-fetched and too absurd to believe. The attorneys had some of these women leaving at different times, but to my recollection, they all left at the same time. This was a calculated, pre-planned conspiracy, even to the point where Sandy, who had access to Frances's phone, deleted some of the personal information on herself before she made her exit.
Jane Doe 1 worked on the weekends when the rest of the staff was off. Typical Saturday, he would take defendant Frances Robinson to the nail salon and would rush home, knowing that he would be home alone with plaintiff Jane Doe 1. When he got home, he called her into the blue room, locked the door, escort the dog out of the room. He will have showered and clothed only his underwear. He would then neatly place a white towel on his bed, not to soil the bed linens, and in preparation for what was about to occur. Defendant Smokey Robinson would then begin to kiss DJ in her mouth, neck, and breasts. Then he would roughly penetrate her vagina with his fingers. All right, so was she wearing a skirt? Was she already naked? It didn't say anything about this bitch taking her clothes off or nothing. He would kiss her on her neck and on her breasts, and then he would start fingering her, right? Were her clothes already off? He would penetrate her vagina with his erect penis, causing her great... Dog, this nigga's 70 years old. He's not causing great pain, bro. Like, you expect me to believe Smokey Robinson in there like this?
Is that dick good? Yes, kid. How good is that dick? Oh, how good is that dick, bitch?
That's what they try to paint Smokey Robinson as, bro. All right? These fucking lies got to stop, bro. All right. JD1 said she got hit 7 times. She was unwilling to report due to fear of losing her livelihood. She was in fear of losing her livelihood from familiar reprisal, public embarrassment, shame, and humiliation to her family. This is bullshit. Who wrote this? This is a fucking lawyer who wrote this. Public shit. Nobody know you, bitch. You a fucking housekeeper. Who the fuck knows you? Oh man, I'm gonna follow this fucking trial. Oh, we're gonna follow this case. This is some bullshit, man. Right? Her family. Where's her fucking family at? the possible adverse effect on her immigration status. What is your immigration status, bitch? Hey, by the way, as well as being threatened and intimidated by Smokey Robinson, well-recognized celebrity status, had influential friends and associates. Francis, his wife, failed to take appropriate corrective action to prevent defending. What appropriate action could she have taken, bro? She's a woman like you. What appropriate action? I can't wait to read that shit, man. I know y'all don't want to see that shit. If you in the chat and you want to go over the PDF, let me know.
If these rapings had gone on for all these years, then why was it that Francis and Smokey were invited to their family weddings and birthday parties and quinceañeras? Would you invite this type of animal to be around your family?
You bitches lost. Nah, ho, you fucked up. You fucked up. Big time. Oh, you fucked up so big, man. Once they talk about that shit in the trial, oh yeah, you were so afraid of Smokey, but you invited him to all of these personal family events to have him around your family. Why'd you do that? You could have just asked for the fucking day off. Why'd you invite him to come down there? Yeah, you got him. Go ahead. What's his motherfucking name? Isaac. Go on, Leon. Yeah.
A family gathering? Would you want him around you at all, other than just to have to show up to go to work because you had to be in this hellish environment, as the attorney said, to make a living? I don't think you would invite him to your...
They even got the fucking immigrants doing this shit. You know it's a free for all when you got the fucking housekeepers putting in goddamn allegations. The house, the help is putting in allegations now.
Your family gatherings. And the other Jane Doe still goes to Smokey's concerts in Chicago and shows up for the meet and greets with her family members. And once again, I must wonder, why would you go out of your way and outside of the workplace that according to the attorney, you must do to make a living? Why would you go out of your way and bring your family to a concert to visit this monster? It makes no sense. And here's another incident that when it comes to human nature, it's very difficult for me to comprehend. When there was an opening for another position for a housekeeper, one of the Jane Does brought her sister in to fill the position.
No, she didn't.
Common sense. If you're being raped,
why would you bring your
repeatedly, why would you bring your sister into this hellish and dangerous atmosphere? Do you think we're all...
Yeah, man. Get active, baby. Come on, Leon. Call them bitches out. What's their names?
Oh, stupid. It makes no damn sense. Do you think we're all stupid?
Go ahead, gang.
It makes no damn sense.
Yeah, call that bitch
And
out.
what also makes no sense is these sisters were not sharing these secrets with each other. So let's talk about keeping secrets.
Oh.
The scenario that the attorney painted was that there was 2 or 3 or 4 women that were working together, all being raped, but never speaking about it to anyone for days.
Now, this is how you can tell the whole shit is bullshit. When that Me Too movement first came out, and when they had Bill Cosby, bro, they had fucking all of these rock stars, all of these fucking actors. They had Weinsteins. Why ain't you say something then, bitch? That's why you can't believe these hoes when they say, "Oh, I was scared." Yo, you were right. According to what you said, this shit was right in the middle of the biggest Me Too movement ever, bro. That's when the shit was created. So how the fuck you ain't say nothing? Just like when Cassie said, "Oh, Diddy was fucking me up." That was right when Chris Brown and Rihanna got into a fight. You could have said something then. Why ain't y'all like what the fuck? You like this makes me believe that you're sitting around waiting. You're waiting for something. Maybe they promised you something. And they say, you know what, man? I was gonna buy you a fucking G-Wagon. I changed my mind, yo. You know, take this fucking Telluride or take this fucking Jeep Liberty and be happy. And you got upset. That's what you bitches do. And you do it because there's no consequences for it. For women to stop doing this shit, if something has to be extremely uncomfortable for them to stop it. Either an ass whooping or incarceration. Okay?
For weeks, for months, for years. I know human nature, and I don't believe that individuals can keep a horrific secret like that to themselves. You're working together, you're seeing each other every day, all day, like that. Human nature would make a person act a little differently if they went through this horrific act. After going through something like this for the first time, much less multiple times, your whole demeanor would be different. Your demeanors would be different. And others would look at you saying, what's wrong with you? What's going on? You're telling me that all these women could keep this secret? But these attorneys and these women are all playing us to believe that they, all four of them, could individually keep such a horrific secret and hide the trauma of simultaneously being repeatedly raped. So in talking about the serious accusation of rape, for Smokey, those of you that know him as a gentle soul, a poet. And to rape someone, I think you have to be a special, sick, animalistic type of individual.
Yeah.
I don't want to be overly graphic, but the attorneys were very graphic when they wrote out their report. So when it comes to rape, from the average man's point of view, much less from a gentle spirit like Smokey, to have a woman under you with fear and her body is frigid and tight, and certainly there's no reciprocation of passion. Her sexual juices are not flowing. Who would want that type of sex? Only a sick individual. And in a scenario like that, I doubt that the average man could even keep an erection up under that type of situation.
Exactly. I'm glad he said that. You know why I'm glad he said that? Because when that other bitch lied on Diddy and said that him and Jay-Z and a female was in the room, let me ask you another question. How come they identified Jay-Z, but they didn't identify the other woman? Why? This system is so preoccupied with protecting women, bro. You notice that shit? And these bitches are straight fucking criminals, right? So they're so busy protecting them. You identified Jay-Z and said that Diddy pushed her to the wall, slammed her to the wall, then slammed her back on the bed, then slapped her, and then began to R her, right? And then Jay-Z was next. Looking at that, I'm like, yo, Jay-Z too cool of a nigga to he'll be like, yo, why you fucking up the pussy, dog? Like, I can't fuck her. She all beat up and shit. Like, why you throwing her into the wall? So I'm glad he said that because men can't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's and the people who do those types of role plays and things like that, they got places for them because those people are really sick. Yeah, they're really sick. They're sick. If you get off from punching a bitch, punching her in the ribs, suffocating her, and all of that shit, if you get off, they got some places where they act out the acts, and there's women who like to have the acts act that out on them. Yeah, it's called non-consensual consensual sex. I found out about that from watching another video of a chick with all kind of mental health shit going on, and she met a dude with all kind of mental health shit going on. And he said that he partakes in that because if he didn't partake in it, he wouldn't be a nice person. So he goes to this specific place and acts out rapes on women because that's what he really likes. And if he doesn't do it, he'll be doing it in real life to bitches in the public. So that's a sickness. All right, fetish, no. You know, they like to try to put these words out to excuse sickness, bro. All right.
Average man could even keep an erection up under that type of situation. And let's bear in mind that Smokey is now 85 years old. And so if this has taken place for the past decade, then he was in his mid-70s to now the mid-80s. And to be able to commit this type of act close to 50 times, I think it's absurd.
Absurd, motherfuckers.
As I stated, I'm making these comments from my own perspective, but I think it's important to share this one statement that Smokey made as we were sitting watching the attorney's press conference. When it was over, Smokey said, "Rape? That's such a violent, angry act. I've always believed that sex should be mutually consensual and mutually enjoyed.
Yeah, man.
Why would I want that kind of energy? And besides, I would have to answer to God for that." Additionally, it's not as if Smokey is a man that is older and just can.
And they always do it to motherfuckers that get pussy, dog. You ever notice that? It's always the motherfuckers that broads be throwing and dreaming of fucking. That shit makes no sense. None at all. It's never a backup dancer or a backup singer or no shit like that. It's always the main dude, the Diddy or the Smokey or the fucking, you know, the like a main character. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. He ain't gotta rape nobody.
Confined to his house, and therefore this was the only outside of marriage sex that would be available to him. No, Smokey is still doing concerts all across the country. Every month he's out there doing concerts with audiences full of beautiful, adoring female fans. And maybe some of them would have liked to have an evening with Smokey.
Yeah.
I say that to bring about some reality here. That Smokey sure has a lot of other options.
Same fucking thing I'm saying, man. The same thing I fucking said.
Than raping these housekeepers. Once again, their stories make no sense.
I want to see what they look like.
Now let's talk about this below minimum wage paying jobs nonsense that this lawyer was talking about. They could not afford to leave even though they were going through all this constant rapings. Well, I believe that Sandy owns 3 different pieces of property. That's always what I was led to believe. She could leave any time that she wanted. And the attorney went on to say, and I want to show the tape here.
They're Hispanic women who were employed as housekeepers by the Robinsons, earning below minimum wage. As low-wage workers in vulnerable positions, they lack the resources and options necessary to protect themselves from sexual assaults.
What? How much resources do you need to protect yourself from sexual assaults, bro? You need a fucking phone. What?
Necessary to protect. As low-wage workers in vulnerable positions, they lack the resources and options necessary to protect themselves from sexual assaults.
That shit don't even make no fucking sense, bro. That makes no fucking sense, bro. You make it sound like the bitch got to make fucking $70,000 or $100,000 a year to be able to fucking protect themselves from sexual assault. Like you need money for that, bro. You need a fucking phone call, bro. And this is, man, these niggas ain't shit, bro. This guy right here, these fucking dirtbag ass lawyers, man. It's a fucking dirtbag, man.
Throughout their tenure as employees for the Robinsons.
The attorney stated, as low-wage earners, these women lack the resources and the options to protect themselves from these sexual assaults. Well, now, Mr. Attorney, you can't have it both ways. If they're only being paid a minimum wage and it was an intolerable work situation, then it is a fact that in Southern California, one could obtain a minimum paying house position almost anywhere. Now, perhaps if one was paid thousands of dollars above the norm, then maybe one would put up with these repeated atrocities. Maybe you would have the mindset that it was worth the money. But even that's absurd. But you expecting us to believe that one's going to put up with being raped 7 times, another one 20 times, another one 23 times, just to keep a minimum wage paying job? Then I think that you think that we are Bozo the Clown to believe this type of absurdity.
Jane Doe number 4. She worked the longest as the housekeeper for the Robinsons. From October 20, 2006 to April 2024. He raped her in 3 of their homes, namely the Chatsworth home, the Las Vegas home, and the Bell Canyon homes.
Additionally, when I and others frequented the house, we saw individuals that were cheerful and humming and singing. We did not see fear or depression or someone that seemed traumatized. As I've stated, I've been in ministry now for over 25 years. And in ministry, throughout these many years, I have counseled, I have prayed with, sometimes cried with women and men that have been raped or in some form molested or sexually shamed. And we've had to deal with the lingering effects, the issues, and the residue that's been brought about by such vile acts. And yet, when I'd go over to Smokey and Francis's house, as stated previously, I always saw a cheerful demeanor with these ladies. I did not see effects of trauma or sullenness or intimidation or domination. I don't think these women were capable of being such great actors that they could have continuously faked a calm demeanor or cheerfulness week after week, month after month, much less year after year. I want to talk to the attorneys. As for these attorneys, I understand that at least one of you is in the organization 100 Black Men.
Whoa.
And for those of you listening that are not familiar with this organization, it is a very prestigious organization of Black men that help individuals in a variety of ways. And this organization has done an outstanding job for many decades. But I must now state that I have received calls from some members of this organization stating that they are very, very disgruntled with you attorneys and this case. And I'm not going to put words into their mouth, but I will say it bluntly myself. What kind of Black man are you to take on such an absurd, full of ridiculous lies for a case like this against another Black man? And we don't have a lot of them.
And these are old school. These is the OG Black men, man. These are the ones that saw all of the bullshit that Black men went through. Like you were there. You were there during the Jim Crow, bro. You were there during the Jim Crow. Smokey was born in 1940. That lawyer don't look like he's fucking 30 or 40 years old. That Black lawyer, he don't look like he's 30, 40 years old, man. That motherfucker probably born in the 50s, maybe the 60s. Come on, man. Y'all seen that shit, and you gonna go and do that to Smokey, right? To Smokey? to Smokey? These niggas are scumbags, bro.
One who is one of our national treasures, Smokey, who has worked hard for decades to lead an exemplary life and is the epitome of professionalism. And you're going to take on a case like this. As a black man and as a professional attorney, I say you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And I am declaring that you crossed the line professionally when you stated that Smokey Robinson is a serial rapist, a serial predator. Your clients did not say that. You said that.
We believe that Mr. Robinson is a serial and sick rapist that must be stopped.
I think you gotta shoot the 5, man. Somebody gotta get this dude 5 minutes, man. He gotta step out to the parking lot. He can't get away with this, man.
It's coming personally from you. You crossed the line, and I am really asking Smokey and his attorney to sue you personally. There have to be consequences for you to make that type of statement regarding an individual who does not have a history of wrongdoing. Now, I'm going to tell it like it is. This was a big payday for all of you. If these women were horrendously raped multiple times, then there should be justice. And that justice should have been to immediately go to the police and the DA and file charges against these atrocities. But you did not choose to do that. You chose to have a big payday.
Now, could you restate what you're asking for in terms of monetary relief? What are you seeking?
Well, $50 million.
And how did you determine that amount?
It's just we wanted to get his attention, hence a big number.
Will they file complaints with the police as well so that they can investigate this as a criminal matter?
We have not been contacted by the district attorney's office yet. Obviously, we're more than...
My nigga, that wasn't the question, bro. You don't have to wait to be contacted by the district attorney. So what he's saying is no, we didn't file any criminal charges. That's what he's saying. Because that you don't have to wait for them to fucking call you and be, no, nigga. Take her little monkey ass Altagracia down to the goddamn nearest station and say XYZ. She didn't do that. The second, the third, the fourth didn't do that.
More than happy to cooperate as best we can.
Does a police report have to be filed by the women in order for the DA to then proceed?
Well, again, no police reports have been filed by our clients as of yet.
Why you said again, nigga? You ain't answered it the first time. What do you mean again?
Again, no police reports have been filed by our clients as of yet, given their fear of having done so.
But where do you stand on that? Do you want your clients to file a police report now that they've retained you?
I think that's something that we need to discuss with our clients before we cross that path.
Because based
oh man,
on the disturbing allegations, don't you feel like this is something that law enforcement should investigate?
So let me break it down from my perspective. This was an atrocious shakedown. Everyone was going to get a payday and have a great exit strategy for the rest of their life. Sandy's husband, and I know him, and I know his name, but I won't mention his name, has been ill. She had already stated that she wanted to go back to Guatemala and retire.
Guatemala, okay.
And with this amount of money that she thinks she can get, she could do that.
Yep.
The other 3 who are illegal immigrants are afraid that any day they might get deported. So they need a big payday so that they can either stay here or be deported with a whole lot of money. And you 2 attorneys, well, you'll have enough money for a very nice retirement. That's the sting if it goes your way. But it won't. It's also been brought to my attention something regarding the U visa. I'm still investigating this, but I've been told that if an illegal states that they were the victim of sexual abuse, with this U visa, it can make them eligible for a pathway to permanent residency.
Wow.
If you're stating that you're the victim of sex abuse. I wonder if that's another card that these women are trying to play.
They worked 60 hours a week. They never got paid overtime. They were chastised by Miss Robinson if they tried to eat, if they tried to take breaks. And that's part of the allegation. Just the employer-employee relationship. They violated, we have alleged, numerous labor laws. All the labor code violations are against her as well.
I think the intentional infliction of
And the
emotional
intentional
distress,
infliction of emotional distress.
hostile work environment as well.
Well, we believe that there was some knowledge of prior misconduct of a sexual nature against other individuals against him. And we're alleging that she was aware of that and she took no preventive action.
Let me make some comments about the workplace. These attorneys made it sound like the Robinson household was this dark atmosphere, that these women were not allowed to take breaks, that they worked 60 hours a week and were not given any overtime. They were not allowed to take time to eat or have breaks, even talked about false imprisonment. Let me tell you, as one that is over there quite frequently, nothing could be further from the truth. Anybody that's ever been over to that house will testify it was always a peaceful atmosphere, a cheerful atmosphere. Let's break this down. How labor intensive could it be? There were always 2 or 3 maids there. And at this house, how cluttered, how dirty could it be? It was only 2 adults. It was not like a family of 5 or 6 family members and kids and cluttering up a house. There was no clutter. The house always looked like a 5-star hotel. Smokey and Francis were the only 2 people that lived there. And they didn't even use most of the rooms. They basically congregated in about 4 rooms. And they were seldom there. Smokey's on the road. And when he's home, he's on the golf course 2 or 3 times a week. He's doing his radio show. He's in meetings. He's in the studio. Most days he's gone and only comes home toward the end of the day. And Frances, too, is usually out doing her running around during the day and comes home in the evening. So what I'm saying here is that there was no intense or strict labor. I'm also saying that these ladies were treated like family. When it came to eating, they fixed themselves whatever they wanted. And certainly they had breaks. And in the refrigerator, there were things in the refrigerator that was just for them. I would see steaks in the refrigerator. Smokey doesn't eat red meat. I bring that up because the steaks were for Sandy. Frances would buy them because Sandy liked them. And Frances would treat the other ladies to In-N-Out burgers once a week because they loved In-N-Out burgers. Both Smokey and Frances were always incredibly generous to these people. As I said, they treated them like family. Overtime? Well, let me tell you about perks. When one of Sandy's family members had a car accident, Sandy was out for close to 6 weeks. Frances never even docked her, still paid her for every day, even though she wasn't there. The Robinsons have a home in Vegas, and there are times when Frances and Sandy were in one of the casinos where Smokey was performing, and Frances would literally give $100 bills to Sandy to gamble with. Frances would pay Sandy extra $200 to $300 to curl her hair. Times when they'd go out and Frances would always stop someplace to have lunch, like a Neiman Marcus to have lunch and other places to have lunch. She didn't have Sandy wait.
You see that shit? Yo, people ain't shit, dog. That's fucked up. People ain't shit. Looked out for them people like that, man, and they gonna fucking do that, bro. That's foul. Nasty ass people, man. This nigga Smokey ain't getting it up, man. Smokey dance like an auntie, man. Smokey dance like an auntie, bro. What the fuck? That's real old school shit, man. You know what I'm saying? You got an old school auntie or old school fucking granddad, man. They just dance like that. I wanna see you bounce. I wanna see you shake. So that booty roll. Don't you be ashamed. I wanna see you dip down low. Whoa, man, these cocksuckers, man, they ain't shit. Smokey, I don't care what Smokey take. He ain't. Nah, he ain't taking pussy 50 times like that, man. And gotta smash your wife. No, come on, man.
Wait in the car. She always treated Sandy just like an equal and had Sandy sit there with her and treated her to lunch, treated her like family. I have pictures of Sandy with Francis and Francis's daughters in Cabo. Sandy was treated to this vacation for her birthday. I've got pictures of Sandy on jet skis and happy laying out in her own private villa that Francis paid for, getting facials and massages on the beach that Francis treated her to. This doesn't sound like slave labor to me. How dare you, attorneys?
Yeah.
Come up with these atrocious undertakings just for a payday. Smokey and Francis are very generous individuals. She was treated like a family member. With Sandy in particular, this I do know. She was treated like a family member. Now, I give Sandy credit. She was there for Francis when Francis broke her ankle and when Francis had surgery. But in turn, Francis treated Sandy like family. I know for a fact that when Francis was sitting down going through her trust, Sandy was put in the will. There were times when her personal or family, for whatever reason, Sandy had to take off. And as I said, she was never docked. Sandy was given over $6,000, this I do know, to help her with her teeth. And I remember when Francis was about to write a check and Sandy said, "Oh, no, can you just give me cash? I don't want my husband to be embarrassed that I have this type of money that you're giving me." Sandy was given, and I do mean given, money to use as a down payment for her car. And by that I mean thousands of dollars as a down payment. When Sandy was perplexed that someone in her family was going to get married in Hawaii, and she was complaining, "Why do these young people always pick these far-off exotic places? It's so expensive to go to Hawaii." Francis said, "Don't worry about it, Sandy. I'll pay for your hotel. I'll pay for your plane fare." Does this sound like people that were abused? It's ridiculous. And they all ought to be ashamed of what.
You know, just the one thing though, when it come to like our elders, they were big on shame. Like shame meant something back then. Shame don't mean nothing today. You know what means something today? A fucking ass whooping. That's what means something. That's what means something today. Shame, they should be ashamed, and he's speaking from his era, from his generation. When that shit actually meant something. That shit don't mean nothing today. They need to get fucked up. That's what they need.
What they have tried to do and get away with. Francis trusted Sandy so much that Sandy even had access to the safe.
What?
Atrocities? To me, it was the opposite of what was stated. I think that the Robinsons trusted them too much and gave them too much familiarity and privilege. Regarding Francis, I've already talked about the work environment. I've already stated that she was very generous. But for these attorneys to state that Francis knew that Smokey was repeatedly raping these women and never said or did anything about it, more or less implying that she went along with it, that is a lie from the pit of hell. Francis is a spirit-filled, praying woman, and she has a healthy fear and reverence when it comes to God and when it comes to what's right and what's wrong. And she would have never, ever tolerated those type of actions. To those of you watching this, I've laid out what I've said. I've laid out what I've seen and know. And I've stated my conclusions. I want to know, what do you think? What are your comments? Let me know. And God bless you.
People, man, it's really fucked up, bro. That's just really fucked up, man. Full knowledge, sexual misconduct, settled cases with other women that suffered experience similar to haven't settled cases with other women that suffered and experienced similar sexual assaults. Francis perpetuated a hostile work environment by regularly screaming at Jane Doe number 1 in a hostile manner, using ethnical pejorative words and language. Wow. 10 hours a day, 3 days a week, at the rate of $18 an hour. What's the minimum wage in LA? Because he said well below minimum wage. So I want to see. Minimum wage is $16.50. As of January 1st, 2025, minimum wage is $16.50. Right? And this lawsuit says that she was getting paid $18. But that cocksucking ass lawyer says she was getting paid well below minimum wage. Right? They failed to pay minimum wage or overtime wages for the hours worked in excess of 8 hours, nor provided rest or lunch breaks. See, you know, oh my God, man, this shit is crazy. Let this be a lesson to you, man. When you're somewhere and people aren't going above and beyond or being nice to you, man, this is why. Because people fuck people over. And then you have somebody like me that'll see some shit like this, and I ain't gonna get caught up in that bullshit. Anyway, yo, that's it, man. I'm out, y'all. Hope you had a good one. Hope you feel the same way we do about this situation. Talk to you on the next one.